Speaking with Blade Banter on Instagram, I asked him if he would be interested in checking out this crutch sharpening system, because I'm going to send it out to a few guys on YouTube and Instagram to get their thoughts on it and just see how they like it. I'm going to send one stone and my angle cube and most likely a strop along with it. That way they have a full setup and all they've got to do is clamp a knife and start sharpening. While we were talking, he asked if I was familiar with the razor's edge system that is very similar to this simple device. Now this is the nanowa clamping system. All you gotta do with this is just slide it onto the spine of a knife, and that gives you a consistent angle for your knife to rest on. The longer the knife from spine to edge will determine what the actual angle is, but that really doesn't matter. As long as the edge is consistent and the angle is consistent, the knife will get sharp. And this provides exactly that, a consistent edge, regardless of what angle it is. This is a very similar device, although it has a few differences. You can adjust the back portion to change your angle, although you can't change it a whole lot on knives like flat ground blades because you have to create a V shape. When you're clamping it for flat ground blades, you have to create this V shape. If you don't, it will bow out and not clamp the knife securely. So you have to open these jaws up, tighten these bottom two clamps down. Once they're clamped in and tight, then you can adjust this back portion to set your angle. I've got this Y-Start D2 knife clamped in the small bracket. There are two brackets, one for knives 3.5 inches and below, and then a larger one for 3.5 inches and above. They come in these little boxes with two Allen keys and an instruction manual underneath. They're made out of some sort of steel. I'm not sure what kind of steel it is. They are pretty heavy. Someone commented on one of my crutch videos if I had ever seen the Buck Hone Master. The Hone Master is one of Buck's old designs. They can be found on eBay occasionally, around $20 to $40. They're very similar to this razor edge system. I'm going to dig into this real quick and just show you the instruction manual. Shows you the different types of grinds knives have: hollow grinds, wedge grinds, chisel grinds, and then a very blunt grind. And if you guys want to pause and read here, it also talks about taking a very blunt edge and thinning it out. Here it discusses the actual clamp. And this is what I was talking about for a flat grind knife. The clamp will bow out if you don't have that rear portion wide open. Shows you the best ways to mount the guide and different ways you can clamp different knives, depending upon length, of course. And like I said, it does a really nice job explaining what sharpening is and how to sharpen, but the clamping portion and how to get it set up properly, I wish it had a little bit more detail. Blade Banter used his tonight, and he showed me that along this portion he got quite a bit of wear. Now, since this is made out of steel and you are running it across sharpening stones, there is going to be some abrasion. I don't think that's going to be a big deal just because of how thick this thing is. It's going to give you years and years of life. And as it does wear, all that's going to really do is drop the spine closer to the stone, which will just make the angle more acute. More acute means sharper. It's always a good thing. The nanowa is made with some sort of ceramic embedded inside of it. It too wears. As you can see, it's no longer round. But with the ceramic, it's going to wear a lot slower. The nanowire does have that advantage over this system. However, this system is way more secure. You can really torque these screws down and get this clamp on really tight. It's not going to move on you. One of the issues I found with that nanowire clamp is as I used it, it wanted to slide around the spine. It usually ended up back here at the edge of the knife. Never really changed my angle much, but it did change the angle some. I'm curious to see where the edge is in relation to where this clamp is. So I'm going to mark Sharpie along the bevel. So this side is grinding right on the money almost, but this side looks like the apex is getting missed. So I can't really tell. It kind of looks like it's cocked off to one side. I'll give you guys a look. Maybe you can see something I don't. So to me, looks like it's cocked off to one side just a little bit. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of regrinding on this side to get everything to line up and match, but that shouldn't be a big deal. Got the edge cut off. Measuring on my angle cube, this told me it was at 20.4 degrees. Now I'm stopping because I felt some movement. I'm not sure if the clamp moved or if it was just my imagination. So using these, you always want to keep the clamp on the stone, of course, because that's where your angle's coming from. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this out just to show you guys what we're looking at. But this clamp is gonna make these bevels really lopsided, and I think it's because one side is higher than the other. I don't think that's an issue with the blade grind. I think that's an issue with the clamp itself. Grit contamination can be an issue with these. As you grind, metal swarf and stone grit can develop and pack inside of the clamp itself, so that's something to keep an eye out for. If you see it, you definitely want to rinse it out. Also, I want to show you this wear already on the clamp itself. As you can see right in here, from that 240 grit stone, lifting up, hitting that tip, has already put some pretty substantial wear marks on the clamp itself. Also, another thing I want to point out is the blade grind. So this is the bevel side that's fairly small. This is the one that widened out. Hopefully you can see that difference. So that's fairly wide. That's fairly small. So I'm getting some asymmetrical grinding on here. But we're going to go ahead and grind the whole thing out. And I'll deal with that later, freehanding it. This is the 1000 grit silicon carbide from Gritomatic. I'm putting a fair amount of pressure down because I see a spot on the tip here that I missed. So if you're curious how stout and hard these stones are, this should give you a pretty good indication right here. I'm putting probably 8 or 9 pounds of pressure down. Maybe not quite that much, maybe 6 or 7 pounds, but that's enough to really damage the stone. And I'm not getting any sort of gouging, no track marks, nothing of those sort. So this is very much like honing a razor. You got your back bevel here, which is setting your angle. And you're getting wear along here just like you would a razor blade. I would imagine if you're really concerned with it, you could put tape around this just like a razor blade and protect that. I've got quite a bit more wear on it now. I really don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm not sure if it's going to affect future sharpenings or if that's just how things are and it'll work itself out. I don't know. Time will tell, as it has a habit of doing. This is going to be my final stone tonight. This is my 2500 grit. course, if you're no good at stropping, you can always leave the clamp on and strop your knife. We're not going to bother with that though. I've gotten all I can get out of that clamp at this point. Now this is a strop block from Knives Plus. It's got white compound on it. Using the Edge on Up edge tester, I came out to a 106 average. Unfortunately, it did not record, so I can't show you that. This is the bevel coming off the 2500 grit and being stropped with white compound. Now this is the side that got reprofiled. And this is the smaller side. To show you guys this wear on the clamp itself. Blade Banter said that this company claims they are the first to invent a clamp like this. If that's so, you would think over the years they would have figured out a way to improve this design, because that sucks. I made the comment to him, I bet this is some sort of 420 type steel. I'm not even sure it's that good. As easily as that grinds, I don't know. It's not a very wear resistant steel, whatever it is. They're reasonably priced, but if you have to pick up a new clamp every 5 or 6 knives because you've worn this thing down so badly, price doesn't matter. It's just a cheap product that's not worth your time. I'll use it a few more times and give it a final conclusion, but right now I'm very unimpressed with it. It created an asymmetrical grind because one side raises higher than the other, like that, instead of being dead center. I'm not sure if that was a mistake on my part or just the design of the clamp. Doing a few more knives, I'll be able to make that conclusion. Anyway guys, I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them below. Y'all have a good one.